Welcome, Titano community. Let me know in the chat where you're coming from, where you're watching from, because today, Summit decided. Oh, I'm a little blurry there. Summit decided to let me know last minute a cool little update that we're going to be providing for you guys today because I'm going to give you a little teaser. Okay, I'm not going to give it right now. I want Summit to do the honors, but I'm really excited for this one because it's one of the main concerns that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, and that's all I'm going to talk about. I'll leave your guys' imagination for whatever it is. But what I'd like to start this Titan Talk off with before we do anything is what this Titan Talk is and what this Titan Talk is not. Okay, because people either sometimes they come to this for the first time. People have never even been in a Titan Talk before. So what a Titan Talk is, it is a place where we can provide bite-sized information consistently throughout every single week and what the team is specifically doing, cool little updates here and there, highlights from the community sometimes, charity initiatives that we're going to be starting to do where we bring up charities that we're going to be talking to. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and this is a more of a podcast style and a show versus a 2 to 3 hour long AMA where we just nail the developers with questions. And, no one really has time to sit and watch a 1, 2, 3 hour long AMA, but, and we choose to do these on a Saturday. So moving forward, because I'm just sitting here letting some of the people build up into the live stream, but moving forward, I'm going to try my absolute best. This is how it's going to be, right? It's going to be every single Saturday because I want it to be at the end of the week so we can kind of see how the team is progressing, because I want this to be also an accountability tool for the team itself, right? Is because we can show and hold the team accountable, like, hey, we're doing XYZ, we're going to do progress updates and stuff like that. So let's see in the chat right now. We got our friend from Alberta, Canada. What's up? We got Arbaz saying, yo, Austin, what's up? How's it going? North Carolina. We got Cerberus from North Carolina. Hello. Italy. Nice. Italy. I've always wanted to go to Italy. So welcome. Yes. Delo says very bullish. Yes. And I try not to sound, look at this. Look at this. So shout out to Ali Jambro. Okay. If you're watching right now, if you're not, if you guys probably know who he is, shout out to Ali Jambro. He sent me this hoodie, right? So I thought it was pretty sweet. So I was like, hey, I gotta rock the apparel for these Titan Talks, right? And he got me a coffee mug too. Check this out. Look at that. That's pretty slick, right? So yeah. What's up, guys? But yes, so what we are going to do is we have different segments within Titan Talk, okay? And I'm going to pull that up now so that way I am as organized as possible for you guys. So what we're going to be doing is, if you guys have never been a part of a Titan Talk before, we get down to the quick stats, and we're about to do that right now, where we have the current price, the current holders, how many transactions we've done, and you can use that, compare it to last week's Titan Talk to see how we're progressing and stuff like that, along with the market cap and treasury and RFV balance. Then we're going to move into Titan news. We're going to bring up Summit. Okay, so we got Summit going to come up on stage and kind of talk with us a little bit about the progressions of the lottery, the app, some frequently asked questions that we keep seeing, some top concerns, and we're going to talk about the market a little bit, and then we're going to probably announce the specific Titan Focus. Okay, so when we get to Titan Focus, what specific thing the developers have done this week. That is Titan Focus. And I promise, as this podcast develops, we're going to actually have cool little transitions. I promise. We are just so busy right now, but I promise that's in the works. And then we're going to do an actual segment this week. We're going to talk about a true Titan highlight, where I got two people. We got one that's actually going to come up on stage. His name on Discord is A-Tubs, but I will let him introduce his little story and his name to you guys, along with a Discord name by Matt Lowry. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. And I'm going to talk a little bit about his cool story and how Titano has helped his mission to help other people. So, and we're going to get into the Titan meme of the week. All right. So if you are watching right now and you have a Discord, go to the Discord channel, because I do this every single week. We have a Titan meme of the week. Go and share your best meme that you can put up against anybody else, and I'm going to go and shout you out. So good morning, everybody. So without further ado, let's get into the quick stats. So we're going to get into Titan stats right now. So the current price that I am seeing from Titano, let me pull it up here, and that is 0.3 cents. We got 1.3 cents for Titano with a number of holders is 80,142. So we're fluctuating between the 79,000, 80,000 addresses with a total transaction. Y'all ready for this? Total transaction of 228,481. Now, again, I like to say this because this number is skewed because of where we did the V1 to V2. There's actually way more transactions of Titano, but I'm going to currently track the Titano V2 transactions moving forward. We got a total RFV of $2.5 million with a market cap of $53,639,000 and a treasury of $6.8 million. So without further ado, take those stats, write them down, have fun with them, do whatever you want to do. But without further ado, let's get Summit up to the stage. I'm sure you all know Summit, so he probably doesn't need a too big of an introduction. So here is Summit. Welcome. Oh, nope, I share my screen. There we go. Welcome, Summit. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing good, Austin. How about you, man?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I'm actually doing way better now because of what you just decided to share with me ever so graciously before this Titan talk.
Yeah. I was messaging around. I was like, you know what? I got to bring something up here. I got to bring some excitement, some energy up here. And they were like, yeah, you could share this. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. But yeah, I'm excited. This is my first time on Titan Talk. I know a lot of people in the chats have been like, Summit, when are you going to be up there? And I'm like, oh, one of these days. And today is the day. So
And see, I'm trying to filter around with people of the team, right? Because, like I said, I want to use this as kind of a podcast style where we can have multiple people, not just like the same like structure. I want it to be kind of fun and different. And so we got David, we've had John, we had Summit this week, along with the community member we're going to bring up on stage in a little bit. And then I think next week I'm going to, text Jordan Belfort and tell him to come up here. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll share his number. I wish. But yeah, no. There's a lot of stuff in the works. We obviously announced our first partnership, so that was super duper exciting. But should I just
Yes.
jump into the amazing news first and go from there?
Hold up, we gotta build it, bro. We gotta build it. We gotta build it.
We
So
gotta build it. All
that
right.
we gotta stick to the. So we're in Titan news right now. All right. So Titan news. I'm gonna ask you, Summit. All right. What developing progressions has the team been with the lottery and the app? Let's
Yeah,
get that first.
yeah. So for the lottery, it's pretty much done at this point. There was a little UI adjustment that needed to be done, and that's been resolved and fixed. That should be out. I know the timeframes have kind of moved a little bit. A lot of that's just due to, obviously, we had a partnership announcement, which threw things around a little bit, and then we had the whole market situation. That should be out within the next couple weeks, I would say. If anything changes on that, we would let everybody know. We try and keep as much transparency and much information out as we possibly can with that. As far as the app, I'm assuming you're referring to the mobile app.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Those are the two
awesome.
big things that people have been asking about.
Yeah, so it's kind of teasy, but if you go on the roadmap, you'll actually see it says like a alpha test on there now for the mobile app. It's getting there. It's got held up a little bit just because of we had the migration, we then had Play that came out, we then had lottery get pushed back a little bit, followed by the BitSwirl announcement that came out that kind of pushed things back a little bit. I would say that it's still in development right now. There isn't any estimated time frame I can provide as to when that will be out. It is having good development process, so it is going through testing. They are still getting everything working and making sure it's all right to actually release to the general public. I just don't have an ETA I can share with that. I know the one that was given before was like Q2 or end of Q2. Obviously, we would love to strive for that. It might be something where it's like beginning Q3. But no solid set in the stone ETA yet on that app.
Oh, I'm sitting here muted. Just to put it in perspective, guys, when it comes to this whole app and stuff like that, I have personally have a really cool idea for an app. I don't want to share it. I don't want to leak it or anything like that. But I've had this cool idea for a while, and I've been, in the background doing research on how to develop it. And just to pay for an app developer and to develop all that stuff, I mean, it is time consuming. It is not easy to off ramp even the most simplest of that, because this idea that I have that I'm going to be doing, it's going to be paired with my channel, is as simple as it is, it still takes like, I would say, 4 to 5 months just to create and make sure everything is smooth. So taking an app is very time consuming. Creating one, and it's also a lot of money if you're not doing it yourself. If you're paying for other developers, is the team doing it, or are they paying other developers to create the app?
The team's doing it, and then they bring on people as well who
Okay.
might have certain
Yeah.
expertise in different areas. So yeah, it's kind of uh, a multi-person project on that one.
Gotcha. Okay. So now we're going to move into with Titan news. What is the? I got a question here, so that we're kind of both going to tackle. And the main question was, what has been going on with the market and the thoughts of that, of the market and the correlation of the current Titano price. And one thing I would like to highlight before I read with what David sent me, because David wanted to make sure he got a little bit of info into this Titan talk as well. And I'm gonna let you guys know, right? Like, I'm looking at the Titano price right now, and given the current situation, okay, the market has not been friendly for not just Titano, but the crypto community in general. I mean, everything is bloody. I opened up my portfolio and I almost want to cry, right? Like, it's that bad. So I'm looking at the price, and it has been impressively pretty stable going with everything that's been happening, especially the past couple weeks with the whole stablecoin debacle, where nothing is safe in the crypto world these days. That's the stigma that's been going on, that got created from the whole UST situation. And I mean, we're sitting pretty stable, right? So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's where, like, I feel that, yes, the market, in my personal opinion, and this is just me trying to be as objective as possible with everybody watching, is that I don't think the market, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, Summit. I don't think the market is going to get better anytime soon. I think the market still has a lot of time to get a little bloody, especially with June 1st. So, for people who don't know, June 1st is quantitative tightening through the Fed. And as we've seen in the past, the market usually doesn't like it when the Fed does quantitative tightening or quantitative easing, right? When the government's helping us out, giving us all this money, doing stuff. Oh, they love it, right? The
Yeah.
market's bullish, everything's green, it's great, sunshines and rainbows. But quantitative tightening, it usually in the past has kind of been hurting the market. So just kind of keep, for expectation management, kind of keep that under the radar. Kind of stay looking at your portfolios in the next couple of weeks, so that way when June happens and after that's the actual news is priced into the market, in both the stock market and the crypto market, kind of then see how the whole market in general correlates with Titano price. It's not just, why is Titano going down while Bitcoin and everything else is thriving, right? So I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts on that, Summit?
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of movement that the market can make, specifically a little bit downwards, more before it goes upwards on that. Right now, we've seen Bitcoin kind of riding on that 29, 30,000. BNB's been pretty solid, holding in that same kind of 290 to 310 range, which is great. But yeah, there's still a lot of fluctuation that can happen. Like you said, June 1st coming up, there's definitely to be expected some dips and dives. The good news is that out of all of that, I would say we're still holding pretty solid compared to other projects. Obviously, we're somewhat down, from our all-time high, just as many others are, but we're still holding in a solid, stable area, which is
Yeah.
really, really good. We're not in any type of free falls or anything like that. I would say that it's going to take time for the market to recover. It
Yeah.
really is, and whether that be the crypto market, the stock market, whether you're in this coin or another, it's going to take time for everything to just get back to where it used to be, purely because, hey, you're when governments are trying to curb inflation, they're trying to put new clamps on different things. Um, it's a domino effect. It goes through everything and affects everything. So I would say just look at those. It's a great time to invest, in anything that you really want right now, and just hold to it. Give it time, and your investments will go back up. But just be prepared. Keep an eye on things. Look at those charts. Look at the big boys. Those three or those two I mentioned, as far as Bitcoin and BNB, they're usually the ones that they give you insight on how everything else is doing. Um, but keep an eye on those. Great time to buy on those cryptos or those stocks that you might have missed out on. But always only put in what you can afford to lose with anything.
Especially in the crypto world. I can't emphasize that enough. Oh my gosh, especially in the crypto world. So moving
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
a couple top concerns that we like to highlight in the Titan news. Just a couple like frequently asked questions that are throughout the week, right? Because one thing that I noticed with the frequently asked questions page in just anything, right, is they tend to start to get dated the more time passes, right? So within Titan Talk, I like to get the most up to date frequently asked questions, and one of them was a lot of people were bringing the concern was is Titano turning into a casino? So would you like to kind of talk about that summit on is Titano with the current, and the reason why is with the current partnerships that with Bet Swirl, people are like, oh my god, and then we already got Titano Play, we got lottery
Right.
about to happen. Is Titano turning into a crypto casino?
No, 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 no. It is not turning into a crypto casino. A lot of it's just, hey, we want to bring out utility features that people can interact with. And a lot of these things where it's like play, lottery, and then obviously our newest partnership with BitSwirl, who gives the ability to do like flip coins and dice rolls and stuff like that. It just brings another utility, another interactive feature to the community on that. This is just a few of the things that are coming out. So what other type of utilities are coming out that are not, I guess, casino related? We got NFTs, we have on-ramping, we have other partnerships. Yes, that's correct. BitSwirl was not just the one partner that is coming out. We have other partnerships that will be coming in here that are not related to like a gambling or casino-like aspect on there. Um, it's difficult to create utility that burns and takes tokens out of circulation without giving up tokens. So that's where the idea of those lotteries and plays come out, is because you're willingly giving those tokens. You're the one who's making that choice to do that, and what better way to do that than games like dice rolls and coin flips and things like that. But there's also other great ways, like bringing in an NFT, the ability to have an NFT that has utility, the NFT that maybe goes with the tap protocol and things like that, and gives more utility that way. As far as on ramping, as far as bringing in the mobile apps, things like that, those are other utilities that will go ahead and provide new value for the token, bring on new people. But again, I would not say in any way, shape, or form are we going to a casino-like aspect. That is not happening. It just happens to be that a lot of the things we're bringing out have that right now. But that's
Yeah,
just in the moment. That is just in the moment with more to come.
gotcha. And yeah, there was someone that asked about on ramping, so it was great that you kind of hit that question right in the head there. So that was pretty good. All right, so that's kind of the Titan news for this week. As far as is Titano turning into a casino? Now we were going to address another frequently asked question. All right, we were going to address another frequently asked question, but we're going to hold off until Titan Focus because of the news that Summit just ever so graciously again released to me before this. So we're going to get to Titan meme of the week. All right. So make sure, let's see, make sure you guys are dropping the memes into the Discord. So we're going to go, I'm going to go into the Discord right now under the meme section, and I'm going to pick a Titan meme of the week. So let me go to memes here. So last week's was with the whole UST situation. Let's see.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Yeah. So last week was the moon, where it was like moon cut in half, and they was talking about USD. It was pretty funny, and I laughed about it because it was a personal situation where I lost some USD. Let's see what we got here. I'm telling y'all right now, Titano bot has some pretty dope memes too.
Yeah, it's self-aware, I tell you. And for those of you who aren't in the Discord, you gotta join just to realize our self-aware bot.
How much more do I have? Right about 10 years.
Gosh.
Let's see. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's a
there's
lot.
so
This has been a
many.
good meme week.
Oh, yep. Here we go. I relate to this one because we let's see. Let me share my screen here.
Oh boy, I'm excited to see which one was picked.
Design someone approved for the production. Then someone printed it and
There's so many. Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to share my screen and it is not working here.
Doesn't want to let it go through.
There we go. There we go. All right, we're sharing now. So I see a lot of people, and okay, this is funny because let me scroll past it. All right, so this is funny because I see people all the time in the chats, right? They're like, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and this is kind of a learning opportunity, and it's also pretty freaking funny. So when we talk about buying the dip, I kind of talked about this in my we had a Discord discussion yesterday about pivoting and all that in the disc in the DeFi world and the stock world and why it's so important in the investing world. And people are like buying the dip. Well, there's a few different ways that you need to make sure you see what a dip is and what a falling knife is. All right. So we see this one right here, right? Buy the dip, but sir, you have no money left. Sell my underwear. So like it's funny because a lot of people they'll like go into debt and take loans out and go crazy buying the dip. So shout out to Mr.
Yeah.
Mogway to buy the dip, but then it dips further, right? So make sure
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
see what you know what a rebound is. Make sure you know what a rally is. Make sure you know what confirmations are within when you're looking at what a dip truly is, and make sure that you are aware of what a dip can actually be versus a falling knife, because that can really save you some money, save you some money down the road. All right, so I'm going to get back to my notes here because we are about to do Titan, so the True Titan highlight. All right, so the True Titan highlight for this week is two people. Now, this is the first ever time we've done a True Titan highlight, and it's not going to be weekly. It's just going to be as scenario based method, right? Where as we see people coming in, we're going to highlight them if we really appreciate them. And I just want to give a quick shout out to, before we bring on A-Tubs, okay, which is Anthony. I'm going to read a little story here by Matt Lowry because I was going to talk about their story last week, and there was just so much news that we were covering last week. I just completely skimmed over it. I didn't read about it, but here we go. So Matt Lowry, all right. So he said, I started my business in 2014, and it's pretty much been centered around visual history. In part, I use technologies to capture the attentions of educators and youngsters in both traditional and homeschool settings. Titano has enabled me to not only create further advertising of my services, but also realize an ambition. I had always wanted to develop a cost-free service for history educators whereby they could use an anaglyph 3D imagery in class or at home to tend to new visual weight to the teaching of history itself. My hurdle was always going to be time, but because it would take so much of it to develop and implement. Some months later, that ambition is now realized, and it's Titano that has helped it financially become possible. So I want to share a couple pictures here, because that's pretty cool, right? That you see Titano is really impacting a lot of people's lives, not just financially, but people that have that give back spirit, right? People that have that ability to just want to give back, provide value to their local communities, whatever. It's been giving them that ability to create that financial perspective where they don't have to worry about a 9-to-5 job as much. They can just kind of take some, paychecks here and there from the rebases, and they can focus on what they really want to do. So we see here, they shared a couple pictures back from, this is a picture they said from 2014 where they were actually kind of using these 3D visual arts to teach history and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I love history. I'm a big history guy. And the fact that you can learn and teach history through 3D, I cannot say this word, anaglyph. I think that's really cool, 3D imagery. So shout out to Matt Lowry. They were kind of sharing their Titano story and how it impacted them. So definitely shout out to them. That was a really cool story.
That's really cool. That's really awesome.
Absolutely. So now, without further ado, we're going to bring on an actual guest. This is our first ever community member that we're bringing onto Titano Live, or Titan Life, and it's episode 3. So that's pretty cool. We're getting it in early. So without further ado, welcome Anthony to the stage. I'm clicking your thing and it's not there. We go. What's up, Anthony?
Get pasta.
How you doing, man?
All right, brother. It shows. Glad I'm honored to be your first real Titan.
Absolutely, man. It's really cool. It's really cool that we're able to do this because, and it was such short notice too, right? I literally hit you up last night and I was like, dude, let's get on the Titan show. Because I just wanted to, really highlight people. And it's really cool that you're kind of the first guest, right? Because I love give back. I have my own charity mission. a lot of people, I feel like within their hearts, they want to give back. They just don't have the financial means to, and they think that it's just financial. But really, I mean, you can give back in so many other ways other than just money. But after a lot of people recommending you, and I was like, I think I seen one of your chats last week about you running, and I'll let you kind of talk about the competitions that you were doing. But I think I seen like one of them, and I thought it was just maybe I didn't really know. Like I just kind of looked over, right? Because there were so many chats all the time in the general chat. And then people were kind of tagging you. They were like, yo, this guy's been on top of it this week. You got to talk about him. You got to talk about his story. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I realized what you're doing. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Anthony. What inspired you to kind of just create this small little initiative within the Titano community? And what really just, made you want to do it?
Well, I'll tell you, the thing that really got me off of my seat, so to speak, was watching the numbers drop. And I saw what just felt like a lot of negativity in the community, a lot of questions that weren't being answered, and just a general negative atmosphere. And I thought, man, this is a normal aspect to crypto that I've seen for the last year. And I said, it doesn't have to be this way. And, when you were talking about things that people could do in leadership positions, I thought to myself, I understand that it's difficult for people to know what to do, because if there isn't a leader present or someone to help move things along in a particular direction, people just sit around and say, well, I don't really know what to do. And in those situations, it's pretty easy to start going down the negative road. And so I said, there was something that somebody told me a good number of years ago before I even started my own business. And it was, if it's to be, it's up to me. And so I'm looking around like, who's going to step in here and help move this thing along? And I said, well, I guess it has to be me for now. But the whole purpose of what I'm doing is to kind of wake people up a little bit and say, look, there is something that you can do too, and that you should do, and that to assume some sense of responsibility for this project, because, Austin, the secret weapon in this whole thing is us, and we have to make it work. And so what I really want to do is to just inspire people enough to take ownership, their portion of Titano, and use their talents and their creativity to do what they can do to also flesh out the space, so that there's a lot of things going on in Discord, and maybe even beyond Discord, that is up in a positive direction. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I really like the thing that you were talking about, that, you're taking on your responsibility with what you feel like you can add value to. Right. And I tell people this all the time, especially in the Titano community, instead of asking when, and I think David said this, I don't want to take credit for this because I didn't make this up, but I think David said this back at one of the early AMAs. They said, instead of asking when, Lambo, or when, right? Ask how. What can you do? What can you do to provide some value? And it doesn't have to be financially. It can be whatever. If you are a DeFi expert, just donate some of your time on kind of educating people of what Titano is doing, what's the inflationary rate versus the deflation rate that they're trying to go for. Like what can you provide to this project? So I really like that, Anthony, I mean, you stepped up, you really was like, hey, here's what I can do. Here's the value that I can provide, instead of asking when's the price going to go back to the roof. Like, so I really, really, really like that aspect. Now, tell people a little bit about what specifically have you been doing throughout this past week in the Discord community.
Well, as I started, it was just handing out some Titanos to folks if they bought, so if they bought 50, I'd, $100 or something like that. But, as I started moving along with that, I started thinking to myself, I've always wanted to have, well, let me just put it this way. In conversations that I have in the general world, I'm 55 years old. So, small talk is just not very appealing to me anymore. I really like to get to the meat and potatoes of things. And I thought, when you have an audience as big as Titano, I said, let's get some real discussions started here that are going to open up and blossom into something that goes way beyond me. Because let me tell you something, Austin, I don't want to be the center of attention. I want Titano to be the center of attention. And I just want to be a catalyst. That's it. I hope I eventually fade into the background as we produce and bring out more leadership, because people just need to understand and believe that they can do something, and they could easily rise to the top of that. Because, I mean, let's face it, not too many people are willing to assume a leadership position. So the field is wide open. But I think that having these discussions like we started doing over the last couple of days, talking about issues that are really important, and mindsets that are really important, especially to weather storms like what's happening now in the world, that could present a personal, a human side for everybody. And you could easily relate to these people that usually you just see, an icon that represents a person, but now who they are can be shown, and you can actually have some kind of relationship with these people, and maybe even like them, and want to carry on discussion with them, and it moves beyond even the initial conversation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, man. And mindset, oh, God, I can't say this enough, especially in a market like this. Mindset's everything, right? Because in a bullish market, in a green market, in an uptrend market, it's easy just to throw money at pretty much anything and you're going to make money, right? So you don't really need a lot of, mental fortitude to invest. You just need to have the means of putting the money somewhere. In a bear market, this is where I tell people all the time, this is where investors are made, not gamblers, not people that, just have the money to go around and invest. This is where investors are made, because you build that mindset like Anthony's talking about. You have real conversations. You have meaningful conversations with people. You're able to be mentally disciplined, not to panic when stuff dips, because especially if you're investing in the crypto world, a 20 to 30% dip is kind of normal in the crypto
It's
world.
a
Now,
daily thing.
and it's a daily thing. Now in the stock market, that's a whole different thing. But in the crypto world, I mean, 30% dip is a day in the life of a crypto investor. But this is where investors truly are made. Like Anthony is talking about, when you are able to just have a really bloody red portfolio and still carry on conversations, because we're all humans at the end of the day, talk about really important topics like they were talking about. I've seen people were talking about their personal stories and stuff like that in the Discord. And I mean, bro, like these are some really awesome, deep stories that it's really great that people are kind of coming out of their shell, right? Because it's so easy in a Discord, in a text only chat, or maybe like some people get into the voice. It's so easy to kind of be sensitized, right? To not having that human connection, that human emotion, because all we see is text and letters and emojis and reactions. And people kind of, think that we're maybe like robots, like, right? Like people start being disrespectful. People kind of just, they don't really understand that there is a human behind that screen, behind that username. So what Anthony is really doing, guys, is he's providing that human connection, that human concept. I remember, I think people said you were hosting like voice chats and stuff like that, and people were kind of talking in voice. That's what we need to do. I tell people this all the time. If you're worried, if you have a concern or anything like that, not only send a text in the general chat or something like that, have a conversation with somebody. Go into the voice chats. Like me and Summit, we host voice chats all the time in the Titano community. Come in here and talk to us, because again, we are human beings. We're emotional creatures. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit that you're an emotional person, it helps you psychologically to hear someone, to see someone, versus just reading a text. So
Yeah.
I promise it will be 100% better when we bring that human element. So again, thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on. Kind of bring in the human aspect to the project, being charitable and giving back a little bit of, this was, again, people were commending you because this was your own money. Titano didn't pay you to do that or anything like that. So I really do appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story. Is there anything else you would like to share with the community as they're watching before we end up here?
Yeah, because you mentioned here in your last statements, and you were talking about taking advantage of the dips, able to purchase more Titano. And a lot of people will say, I'm tapped, and I don't have any more to buy. And they feel like they're in this position to where they just can't take advantage of an opportunity. And looking at this in a bigger sense, I can certainly relate to those feelings. I had them myself growing up, where I'd sell CDs and sell, my musical instruments and things like that to pay the rent. Now, I started my business 13 years ago with $212. And since that time, that business has carried me and my family through 100% of the time. And anytime that I want to raise, I just simply do more work. It's a simple formula. If you want more, you do more. And what I would want to get across to the folks out there who feel like they don't have any more money to buy these dips is go out and make the money. Okay. I took a table and a chair and a sign and a sombrero hat, and I sat on the side of the road with a case of honey, 12 jars in a box, and cars stopped and I sold them the honey. Now, listen, before my business went legit, went crazy, I was just me, a guy sitting on the side of the road selling honey. And the last year that I did that, I made over $212,000 selling honey on the side of the road. I had days where I made $1,500 in a single day. Okay. And I can tell you that sitting out there in the sun with bugs trying to get in my nose, in my mouth, in my ears, I thought, what the hell am I doing? Who am I fooling? What am I doing? But I'm telling you that after 13 years, I built an empire, and I'm still building. But the point that I'm trying to say is you can get started on the cheap. Out here in Arizona, it's hot as hell, dude. You could sell water, cold water on the side of the road for $3 a bottle, and you pay 50 cents for it at Walmart. Do something that is easy, okay, that can be repeatable, that has very easy steps. Get out there, try it, and who knows, maybe at the end of the day, you actually have a couple $100 to buy some Titanos. Does that make sense, Austin?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I don't know, have you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Parts of it.
Because this is like something that is very, very like if anybody's ever even heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad, I mean, it's one of the biggest, self-help entrepreneur books ever, right? But one thing that he talks about is instead of looking at something, and this isn't just with Titano, this is just in general in life. Instead of looking at something, and this is how it really helps you kind of rewire your brain. Instead of being like, I can't afford that, kind of like how you're talking about, how can I earn that? How can I earn the ability to get that? So like he was talking about, like, I can't afford this car, I can't afford this house. Well, instead of saying I can't, right, how can I earn the money to afford that? And you really start to build, like, and I know it sounds goofy, cliche, silly, but if you really start to ask yourself that and rewire your brain to, like, every single time you come into an instance where you're wanting to say by muscle memory, I can't afford that, but you just, even just saying it to yourself, because words are very powerful. And if you just say, how can I earn that? I'm telling you, you're going to start thinking of ways that you have never thought of before. Just like sitting on the side of the road with a sombrero selling honey. I mean, that's awesome. So thank you for that story, man. It's great.
You bet, brother. And the thing is like, I'm telling you, man, the guy that, there was somebody in my childhood, one person. There's one person in my whole life, Austin, that ever said something to me that I never forgot. And there was this guy, his name was Von Schelling. And he was a strange dude. He was one of the biggest men I've ever seen in my life. And I asked him when I was a kid, I said, how come your stomach is so big? And he said, I ate a fish bone. It went down sideways and it did something to me. But what he told me that I never forgot is he said, Anthony, I like the way you think. The questions that you ask is going to make you a millionaire someday. And, I had nobody, not my father, not an uncle, not my brother, not aunts, nobody ever told me in my life that I was going to be somebody. But this one guy did, one time in my life. And I've never forgotten it. And I still remember it even when I have hard days now. And what I want everyone here to realize is that you may not have somebody in your life to tell you that you're a credible person and that you got good ideas and that you can do something. But I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. And if you fail, you just try again. That's it. You got to keep doing. And the only difference between, people who are successful and people who are unsuccessful is that successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And that includes fail. It's a pretty simple formula. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be brilliant. You need to be stubborn. You need to be able to put your head to the grindstone and you don't give up. That's it.
Absolutely, man. Failure is awesome. I mean, failure is where you learn your biggest, explosive moments of like, wow, like that's your biggest light bulb moment. So absolutely, I totally agree, man. Well, thank you, Anthony, for coming on. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your story, what you've been doing with Titano community specifically. I really, really appreciate this. This was an awesome episode. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Summit. I'm not sure we can like it's hard to follow that, right? That was an awesome story.
That was
some awesome information. Yeah. But we're going to keep our word, because now we're going to be entering Titan Focus. Okay. And within Titan Focus, what I like to talk about within whoever I have on here, a part of the Titano team this week, we have Summit. I want to kind of highlight what specific thing a part of the Titano team are they doing this week, right? Because we don't want broad answers. We don't want, they're doing X, Y, Z, and then blah, blah. No, we want to know what is one specific thing that they're doing this week to progress the Titano economy, the Titano project, and things like that. So without further ado, we have 157 people watching right now. All right. We have 157 people watching. I'm going to refresh. We only have 60 likes. All right. We only have 60 likes on this. And I know this sounds like an ego thing, but I promise this is to help the algorithm kind of get out there and get the word out there. So we need to get to 70 likes, bro. I think 70 likes and we can release what the heck is about to happen and this announcement that we're going to do. So we already got 63. I'm refreshing it. All you got it. Oh, we got, look at that.
It's
look
there.
At that. We already hit it. We went over it in like 5 seconds. Okay. So Summit, what is this announcement? What is this announcement that everybody is going to be bullish of?
Oh boy. All right, here we go. So for the longest amount of time, there have been a few questions that come into play. A lot of people ask, when merch, when this, when that. But today is the answer of when burn.
Yep.
When burn. When is burn? So people are going to ask, hey, when is it happening? A lot of people have been wondering when buyback burns are going to happen. When are those play burns going to happen? I am happy to say that the burns will be happening not tomorrow, not next week, today. From the play.
Now, where's burns coming from? There we go.
They are
from
coming
the Titano
from
play.
They are coming from play. So we will be burning tokens from Titano play today. So that should definitely help to be sustainable, help to bring the sustainability for the project. And then this is just going to be, of course, one of the burns that we're going to be doing for the future. There will definitely be more burns in the future, but this will mark the first burn that we'll be doing.
That is awesome. See, and look at that. I know you guys like that announcement so much because I literally refreshed. We went from 60 likes, actually 59. We went from 59 to 104 likes in like the matter of a minute. So I hope you guys really understand that's pretty massive, right? That we are now, as of today, not Monday, not Tuesday, not the next big announcement. Literally today, the Titano team is going to burn the Titano play. It's the earnings from the pot, correct?
Yes.
And they're going to send that to a burn wallet. It's not a live wallet. It's not an active wallet. It is a null wallet that is going to burn the Titano tokens, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and for those wondering, whenever you see a play drawing, you'll see those like sponsor tokens and things like that. That is the actual protocol getting the tokens back. So you'll always see those tokens. But those tokens are now being burned. So they're being burned out of circulation, which will take those tokens out and help with that sustainability.
Yes, and a lot of people were asking Summit because I just want to now that we're on the subject of burns, because that was one of the frequently asked questions, a part of the Titan news that I wanted to bring up. But when you gave me that, I was like, okay, we're going to hold that to the Titan Focus this week. And one thing that people are asking is why haven't they already have happened and stuff like that. So could you kind of just go over real quick, why hasn't the Titano team done the buybacks, the burns, like they said they were going to do like last week and then a week before? Why haven't they done that yet?
Yeah. A few different things. So there's different types of burns, right? You have buyback burns, you have just standard burns. Um, I know the team's biggest focus when we made that announcement a little while ago was to do buyback burns, and those are great. It brings a price boost, takes tokens out of circulation. But when you also have a market where it's bearish, okay, and you have a downtrend, for example, if we were to put in $100,000 in burns, okay, um, then you have BNB that drops $20. That burn that we just put money into instantly gets eaten up and it has no effect. So
Right.
it's making sure that you set everything up properly, so that when you're buying in with those burns, when you're doing any burns in general, it has a good effect, aligning with the market status. Now, right now, we're in a position where it's a little bit stable. Like I said, kind of how we were talking about earlier with June 1st and everything like that. We expect things to fluctuate a little bit more as well. But right now, we're in a kind of good position to go ahead and start doing just some of those standard burns, take out tokens from circulation to help curb inflation. But it really comes down to markets. That is why the burns have been held off for a little bit of time, is because it would not make really any dent as far as price impact on. It'll help a little, definitely for sure, with inflation, which is why we're going to start doing just those standard burns to get those tokens out of inflation.
Got you. And yeah, and just to reiterate, guys, but what he's talking about when it comes to these burns, I'm pulling up the charts right now just to really visualize. And I was kind of joking with, not really joking, but just telling Summit last night, right? I was like, I want to make a graph. And if anybody here, okay, if anybody watching is really good with graphics and stuff like that, I challenge you to make this. So I wanted to make a graphic to really show people kind of visually, and I'm going to do this right now with the chart live, but kind of visually what Summit is talking about, why they didn't implement the burns, right? Because of the market and just how down it is in general. So if you look at the BNB price, so I'm looking at the 1 month chart. Okay, then I'm going to pull up the 1 month chart of Titano, which we have. See, the one, it's kind of weird because the V2, the migration, it looks weird because when they migrated and stuff like that. But nevertheless, I'm going to share my screen and show exactly what I'm talking about. Before we get into, and the last part that we're going to talk about with the Titan, this is going to run a little long, but the last part after I'm going to show this is we're going to do a mini AMA. So drop your questions. What I do is I choose 5 random questions from the chat. So drop them now if you want to while I pull this up, and we just do 5 random questions from the community that we have not already talked about within this actual episode or previous episodes. So let me share my screen. Now, what he's talking about, right? So you were talking about Summit, how the reason they didn't do the play or the burns and stuff like that was the ever downtrend of the market, and it really just wouldn't impact the price, right?
Yeah.
So we see this. So we're looking at BNB. And the reason we're looking at BNB is because Titano is paired with BNB. Now, if you want to go even one step further and look at Bitcoin and stuff like that and compare, the blue chips to what the reason why Bitcoin, everything else follows blue chips and the blue chips follow the stock market. I mean, you could go down that rabbit hole. But as we look, it's been in a pretty downward trend, right? We look at the beginning of May, and then it took an even bigger dip. BNB did, and if we look at Titanium now, again, like I said, it looks really weird and scary, right? Because we did the whole migration from V1 to V2, and this is the V2 contract here on market cap. But I mean, it's been a downward trend. Now, obviously, we've been very stable since around May 9th here. It's been fluctuating between 1 and 2 cents. But it just wouldn't make any sense for these burns to happen, because say if we look at the Titano on the DEX, if we go to DEX screener here and you pull up the Titano where you can see the specifics of the price. So let's look here. Okay, so this is a way better chart than what CoinMarketCap has. Say they did the burns, like say we started doing a little bit of stabilization here. You see from the 26th of April to the 27th, right? Right here, say they did a burn, but then this giant dip happened, right? This giant decrease because, like I said, the market is just so bloody right now. It wouldn't have had any effect on positive price pressure for the overall project. So the burn that they would have done would really have just been for nothing. Now that we're starting to stabilize, and I mean, honestly, I'm not sitting here trying to do any TA because it's impossible to do TA on DeFi projects, and that it's just crazy, right? Especially new ones with a new chart like this. I mean, it's just, you can't predict DeFi. You can't. And even if you look at past trends, all TA is just past patterns. It is not predicting future patterns. No one can do that. It is impossible. But even right here, we're starting to stabilize a little bit. And that's why they're going to be doing this burn, right? Because now that we have some type of support level here, we're going to see in the next coming days what happens as well. We're going to see an actual benefit from this burn versus if we just kept on a downward trend and then they burned here and then we ended up here. I mean, it would just be chaos, right? It wouldn't have done anything for the whole burns. Would you like to add anything to that? I just want to make sure I get that as explained as possible.
I think you got it pretty encompassed well on that. Yeah, it really just comes down to making them the most effective. And right now we're in a position where they are pretty decently effective. I will let everybody know once, obviously we start going into that phase 2 of those automated burns, things like that. But right now it's, hey, we're going to get that first burnout. I know last time on Titan Talk, they talked about the mechanism for the automated burns a little bit and kind of how that works. And as we get closer to that, we'll talk about that. But don't want to give too much information because they're supposed to be random for a purpose. We don't want people timing anything like that. But yeah, no, right. I think that sums it up there.
All right, so let's get into the mini AMA session now. And we have Steve here with the first question. And for those of you, when I say I choose a random 5, the one criteria is I want to choose questions that we haven't already talked about. I don't want to keep asking and asking the team the same questions. If your question didn't get answered, it probably has already been answered if you go back to the previous Titan Talks. Around the end of the Titan Talk. So this is why. So Steve asked, will we see onboard projects on the Switch in maybe a week or so? Summit, could you kind of just give a little time frame or maybe just a rough estimate of when we'll see projects start to onboarding Switch?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it comes down to is we have to vet these projects. We have to see how they fit as in their place within Switch because we want to make sure they're legitimate projects. You don't want to have any rug pulls or any scams on there. I don't know if anything's going to be in the next week. It could be a couple weeks, could be, start of next month into middle of next month. I don't have a set ETA on something like that. I know we do have quite a few people who've applied for the Switch listings, which is amazing. Different projects, different people have reached out to myself and a lot of the mods and community members and things like that. I know that there is a list of projects that we have that we're going through. So there's over probably 15, 20 projects on that list that we're going. I don't know the set amount because I haven't checked it yet, but we're going through all of them, seeing which ones would be good fits, and then kind of going from there. But no set time frame. I'm not going to say it's going to be this week, though. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than a week.
Got you. So a little bit longer than a week.
The most general information I can give on that without being too general.
Right. Now, I've seen a few now, this isn't really questions, but a few people have made a suggestion, but this can also be a question as well. Let's see. I'm going to highlight this one here. So this was more of a suggestion, but like I said, it can be turned into a question. So Galag says, put anti-dumping mechanisms in Titano, which allows selling percentage 5% only. Hopefully price will be stable and start to increase. Not really talking about price increase, right? Because no one can predict what the heck is going to happen with the price. But Summit, is there anything that the team is kind of thinking of as far as anti-dumping mechanisms where you can only sell a certain amount per day or anything like that?
So right now the protocol doesn't have any limitations like that. We still have, obviously the 13% buy and 18% sell. That's at least for if you're using, Switch and Vogged. If you ever use PancakeSwap, it's actually 18-18. So just keep that in mind. But I don't believe they have any plans to do something like that purely because it changes the way that the project is. And we don't want to become, for lack of better words, a vampire project. Now, I understand the concerns, having an anti-dumping mechanism to stop large sales from coming in, but the idea really is to provide more utility rather than trying to put a lock and key on somebody's investment. Whether you have a percentage per day, somebody could still just go, well, I'm just going to go ahead and sell every single day then until I'm out of Titano. They could easily do something like that. So we wanted, people to have that financial freedom to make that choice. You shouldn't be locked into a project. But we also want to make sure that we're, sustaining and providing utilities for you to not just say, I'm going to sell all of it or dump all of it, but maybe you use that money for an NFT. Maybe you get something else instead.
And I think David said this, or John, I don't know which one, in one of the previous really main AMAs that we talked about. And they were talking about how Titano is trying to do more progressive measures instead of regressive measures, right?
Yes.
So this is one of them, right? Where they, instead of create innovative things for the project that is in a positive light, doesn't hinder people, doesn't limit people, because then we start to play around with centralization instead of decentralization, like what DeFi is all about. Um, so that's why they're trying to think of things that are more creative as far as helping out the protocol instead of feeling like you're limited as an investor. So that's just kind of like me sitting here brainstorming why they probably haven't implemented that, because I've heard that in the past. So we got another question. Man, my voice is going out.
It
So
was
we
just
got
happening to
Dave
me.
here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's in the morning, man. I'm getting old. Dave says, Austin, some concerns in the Telegram about top wallets. Number 5 in particular sells roughly $10,000 worth daily and are worried is impacting the liquidity and price. So could you kind of talk? Do you know anything about that, Summit, or $10,000
Um,
daily sales could be impacting liquidity and price?
I would have to see the wallets because I don't know all of the holder numbers off the top of my head. I will say though that $10,000 daily is not going to impact the price. It's as you can see right now. If it was impacting the price, we'd be feeling it. We're in a
Yeah.
stable position right now, but that's not because somebody's selling. That's just simply because hey, dependent on the volume, the market conditions, things like that. Um, we don't see anything that's dropping us. I don't see a volume in sales that's outweighing those buys in terms of price action. I'll have to take a little bit more look at those top wallets, but those top wallets should be for the most part the treasuries, RFV, LP pools, potentially any like burn wallet, things like that. All that would be within those top wallets there. But it's not going to be something where it's like, oh, there's somebody who has 600 million Titano. No, there's not somebody that has 600 million Titano. Those top wallets are protocol wallets.
Absolutely. And then somebody brought up, I see Pickles. Pickles is in the Pickles Cage is in the chat right now. And someone was like, "Hey, Austin, could you tell everybody to go to Telegram and read Pickles' message?" I don't want to just read that word for word. I don't want to insult everybody's intelligence. I hope everybody listening right now can read. So if you go to Telegram, it is actually, I think, the pinned message right now, or one of the recent pinned messages. Pickles Cage really brought up a really, really good point as far as he was talking about inflation versus the deflationary mechanisms that Titano is doing, and kind of comparing the two. And I really want everybody to read that because it was really, really good. So if you don't have Telegram, I highly recommend just downloading Telegram just to read that, and then you can delete it and never play with it again. But I just want people to really read that. He was talking about how I'm trying to sit here and just kind of summarize it, but he was talking about how the current supply increases by 1.9% daily. So yes, right now the project is inflationary, but everything that the Titano team is doing is trying to implement ways to create it deflationary, so we kind of outpace that and taking like Titano out of circulation. But I mean, it's a huge, huge thing here, and I don't want to take up everybody's time trying to read that. So definitely, please make sure you go read that. But other than that, someone here said which Gazool, okay, which says where does the Titano, and this will be the last question that we'll end on here. Summit, where do you and the team see Titano in 1 year from now? And I know, just to preface this, I know that is a very difficult question to ask, especially in the DeFi world where we don't know what's going to happen in a week from now, let alone a year from now. But I would like to maybe add on this question just to make it a little more specific. Summit, where do you see this project in terms of utility, in terms of value that Titano is providing to the DeFi space? Where do you see all that in a year from now?
Yeah. I believe that in 1 year's time, we will have a nice, fully fledged ecosystem. The TAP protocol is just one element of what Titano is, and where we're going is going to be so much more grand. I believe we're going to have a lot of utilities. Obviously, we have things on the roadmap, things that we've, oh my gosh, there goes my voice.
It's contagious, bro. Wear a mask.
It's contagious. It's contagious. Things that we've talked about together, whether it be partnerships and things like that, partnerships with specific companies, right? Like we have BitSwirl coming out, and that's just one of many that are going to be partnering with us. So, expanding the ecosystem with new partners. The DEX, of course, will provide brand new opportunities, launchpad opportunities, things like that. I know they even talked about like different staking opportunities, farming, things like that. Not saying, that's coming right now or right then, but just different things that can come out of it. In 1 year's time, Titano will not just be a rebasing token, but a entire ecosystem that also is a rebasing token. So I think you will see us become more of a whole system that you can do different things in, rather than just saying, oh man, I'm making 1.9% a day. You're going to be like, I'm making 1.9% a day that I can do 15 different things with. And that's going to be the really cool part, is that.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? And just to end with this, we try to be, and this is one of the reasons why, just me speaking personally, why, let me hide that there. This is one of the reasons why I really kind of loved getting into Titano and just really meeting the team, understanding the mission behind this, is I like how real the team is and objective as they try to be. Now, I know there is always going to be a level of subjectivity because they are obviously the team of Titano and I'm an investor of Titano. So there is going to be a level of subjectivity to this. Yes, absolutely. But they try to be as objective as possible, right? You hear David all the time say, you see my camera go off. But you hear David all the time say, right, yes, this project is right now currently inflationary and it will not survive without a ton of use cases. So this is where projects either die or projects thrive, and that is with the use cases. They got to create demand for the token. They got to create use cases that are variable. It's not just gambling, right? Because we talked about, is
Right.
Titano turning into a casino? No, like it can't just be one sector. So not only do they need to create multiple use cases, but they need to create multiple use cases in different sectors. Like we're talking about the whole gaming thing with Titano Play, lottery, the bet swirl thing we're going. They're going to be focusing on another sector like NFTs, where they're going to be creating these use cases with NFTs. I don't know what they are yet. I don't get this privy information like Summit does, man. But there's all these different things that they got to create within those different sectors that I just want to make sure everybody understands that the team knows this. They understand this. I know this. And I want you all to know this too, that within a year from now, they need to have multiple use cases. And someone made a really funny joke here. They said, Beak says, win new camera. Bro, this is a brand. Okay, this is a brand of my channel now. All right, if you haven't went to the Austin Clark YouTube channel, go over to the Austin Clark YouTube channel, and I promise you will see on a live stream. It happens, bro. It's a brand. Everybody knows me by now. I can't buy a new camera.
You can't change it. You can't change it.
I would be disrespecting my audience if I bought a new camera. But is there anything that you want to end on, Summit, as far as just any words of encouragement, any additional thing that maybe we didn't cover, just what we can end this Titan Talk on?
Oh gosh. Well, no, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to everybody in the Titano community, whether you be on Telegram, Twitter, Discord, YouTube comments, wherever it is. Seriously, you guys are amazing. You are what make us strive for excellence every single day, and why we keep building out more and more and more. So it's thanks really to the community, because we would not be here without you guys. Biggest thing I can always say is always check those announcements. We try and do weekly summaries. We try and put information out, kind of what we're working on. Obviously, come to the Titan Talks. They're way more fun than just reading off a text, like how you were saying earlier. And then be careful out there too. I've seen a lot of people getting scammed, not just in like Titano, but just in the crypto space. Just be careful. Make sure who you're talking to is legit. But no, what it really encompasses is thank you all for just everything, for all of your support, for always being there, for all of your suggestions. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to end on this. We have 173 people still watching right now. All 173 of you, all right? Please, I implore you, be a person, instead of asking when, add some value. And there's one simple thing that you guys can do. I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet right now. Y'all ready for this? We just talked about the burns, okay? We just talked about them burning today. So if you ever see anybody in the Discords and the Telegram say, when burn, what's going on? Tell them, go to this episode, watch this episode. They talked about it, and add value some way you can. Because I promise, even if half of you, okay, we have 173, even if just half of you try to add value in whatever expertise you have, everybody has that small uncompetitive advantage that they can add to this world that is specific to them. If you can kind of find that and see what way you can add to this project, I'm telling you, we're going to be transformative in a year from now. So please just try to find ways that you can add value to this project instead of just asking when all the time. And I promise we will all thrive together. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week, next Saturday, okay, for another episode of Titan Talk. I will see you later, my friends.
Have a good one, guys.